Alright, so for this project we're working with font bases, and since it was originally done on paper, we'll probably want to make the size similar to paper. So you want to change the width to 8.5 in inches, because it's the same as paper here, and 11 for height. You can choose your resolution, but I use 100 pixels per inch personally, but a smaller resolution might make this a bit easier with the font sizing. And if your background isn't already white, it might be a good idea to make it so just to start out even. And if you can't find your bucket tool, I found it hidden behind the gradient tool that'll be in the same spot here, and you can just use that to fill things, if you haven't already. And add a new layer, and then on this layer you can choose text, which is the little T down here, and just click anywhere to make a space. For this project we have to use a bunch of different texts, so select any from the list that you like. And use a color. If you want to change the color of your text after you've made it, you have to manage to highlight it and then change the color. Otherwise it'll just stay the same color and the next one you make will have that color. The easiest way to change it is just to highlight and change up here for any basic options, and then if you want to skew it, then you can go to Edit and Free Transform. This will allow you to stretch it in whichever direction you like, as well as rotate it in any direction you like. Just make this a bit bigger. Then the other thing you can do in Edit is you can transform it using Warp, and there's a bunch of different warp options in here you can play with. Arc allows you to make it move in an arc shape, obviously. Arc lower and upper allow you to change it by different sections of it. Like, they'll stretch it more at the bottom. If you play around with it, you'll notice that, and you can squish it in a bit more. And the top won't change, whereas the other one makes a complete, like, rainbow shape. I would suggest just playing with these. There are a bunch of different shapes you can use. I think Arc and Arch maybe will probably be the easiest ones to use, but Arch also distorts your text. Bulge will also probably be fun, because you make it bigger in the middle. Also in here is Skew, but that does sort of the same thing as one of the other options. You can slide it in different directions, whichever way you want. The option in here in Warp for Rise does something similar, but it kind of curves it more. And after you've done all of that skewing thing and overlaid and whatever else you like, I suggest doing your text on separate layers. So you just select the text tool, apply any transformations you've made, and make a new text space. That'll automatically make a new layer every time you make a new text space. So don't be surprised at the end of this project if you have like 20 layers. Just combine them as you go if you know you're done with them. It's the easiest way to do it. But anyway, if you want to change the color of the text, you can either use the text tool and select the text you've made. Select the text after it moves back where it's supposed to be, or not. And you can select it and go up here to change the color. Or, come on, move. Move. Yeah. Or you can simplify the layer. So just right click on it. And then it's called rasterize the type. And that's basically, it just changes it to a normal layer rather than a text layer. It's best to wait to do this after you've changed all of your text information, because you won't be able to edit that again now. It'll just make a new layer anytime you try to. You can do it over, it won't take much time, but it's easier if you don't have to. But once you've simplified it, you can press the little grid area beside lock at the bottom here, and that will preserve the transparency. So anything that's transparent on this layer won't get colored on. So if I unlock it and I use my brush tool and I scribble like this, you can see it goes everywhere. And then if I do this, it'll only go in where my text is. So you can use this to make different colors on your text. Like, you could make it lined with different colors if you wanted to. Make a little rainbow in your text. Whatever you like. And that's just another way you can change the color. You can do the whole thing too that way. It's whichever way you prefer. And I don't think there's anything else we'll need. Also, if any of you haven't figured out yet, you can change your brush size up here, just on a scale. You can also change hardness, which I noticed a lot of people missed. You can make the brush softer like this, so it, makes a smoother line that's more blurred. It can also be good when you're coloring your text for a more interesting feel. And yes, that should be everything, I hope. One other thing here is, if you go to filter, there's liquify, and it'll probably tell you this, but it doesn't actually affect it any. The transparency of the image doesn't really matter so much, and you can use it to push around your text. Like, it's intended to be kind of like if it was on water and such, and you can skew it around a bit like this too if you like. Sometimes it'll get a little messed up, but if you do it right, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. This will probably be easiest to do if you combine it down, though. Should have mentioned this one first. But for this specific project, because we have to make lines and then follow them to fill them in, the easiest way I can think of to do this is to just take your brush with black and make your lines thinner than this along the page with probably something more like a 9 size brush or something along those lines, and then you just can go to the opacity down here. It'll change how transparent it is, and just put it down a bit so you can see it, but you can work on top of it. If you'd like to not have the lines when you're done and have the lines defined by the text, alternately you can just keep it down there, because it's easier to work with your text when you don't have any lines distracting you as much. That should